just say after the 1934 parade, you didn't see any more Labor Day parades like this?
No, sir, not in this area.
Yeah, say after the Labor Day parade.
After the Labor Day parade in 1934, it disappeared for about 10 years before they even had a celebration. Then some of the companies, some of the bigger companies would have celebration parades where they'd take a day off and, you know, parade, and then after the parade they'd have a big feed. The company would feed to help, and if you wasn't an employee of the company, you could attend the feeds if you bought a ticket. In other words, I've attended several of the feeds by just buying a ticket to the meal. You know, they would serve a meal out on the ground, you know, and they'd have the food catered in, and they would serve thousands of people. They still do it over here across the river that y'all, you know, the South Fork River, the Far Yarn plants. They still have Labor Day celebrations, and they feed the employees and everybody that buys a ticket. Sometimes they have from 3,000 to 5,000 people over there attending those dinners, and it's served on the, well, you call it served on the ground, but really they serve it off the tables, and you get a plate, and you maybe have to stand up to eat it or go somewhere and sit down in the grass.
But now, do those Labor Day parades have anything to do with organized labor?
No, sir.
Just say that.
This celebrations, the parades they have now is just celebrations of Labor Day. It doesn't concern the union in no way, shape, or form. It's just the people likes to have that celebration for Labor Day.
Good. Okay, I think, cut it, Jane. Anything else that you do?
Well,
From start from where I was born,
That's right. Okay, now.
this is Woodrow Wright speaking, and I'm an employee of this company, and I was born down 8 miles south of the mill, and I moved from a farm to the peach orchard over on Wilson Boulevard. Lived there till I began to get a teenager, and when I was a 15-year-old teenager, I moved on this village and started employment when I was 17 years old with the company, and I've lived here 55 years on this village, and I was employed by the company that long, and I am now the oldest employee of this company, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you.
Okay. Could you do it again?
This is Woodrow Wright speaking to you. I was born 8 miles south of Belmont on the South Point Road, and when I was 8 years old, I moved over to Hall's Peach Farm on the Wilson Boulevard. I lived there till I was 15 years old. I came on this village at the death of my mother in '33, but I was not old enough to be employed with the company till I got, when I was 17, 3 days after I was 17 years old, they employed me, and I stayed with the company 55 years. I've lived on the village that long, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Night stuff. Okay, I think.
The man with the green thumb.
Absolutely. So I think now we're going to do it. Start, please.
Woodrow Wright. I live here on the Mill Village. Been here ever since I was 17 years old. Was employed here April the 21st, 1935. I'm still here, still happy.
Tell us what you did here.
I started in this department, dolphin twisters in this twisting room right here. I dolphed twisters here for 35 years. Then I moved to the spinning room. I stayed in the spinning room till April of this year, 1990.
Okay. One more time, Jamie. Any corrections for you?
Nope.
I want you to hit that guy.
How far up you want me?
All the way down to you,
One more thing.
All right, this is Woodrow Wright. I've been an employee here ever since I was 17 years old. I was hired here the 21st day of April 1935. I'm still here, still live on the village, still happy. And when I started working here, the pay was $3.25 a week, and the last paycheck I drawed was $264. That much improvement.
Okay. Now,
Here has been changed one time. It had a
Okay.
smaller ring and a
Okay.
smaller bobbin.
okay.
They went to a bigger ring, 20 years ago, and they went from a small bobbin to a big wooden bobbin. And after they went to the bigger ring and bigger bobbin, I went to the spinning room. I left the twist room after 35 years. But when I first started here, they only had rings about that big. Small rings and a small wooden bobbin. Then they later got to the large bobbin and changed it from a fill-in twist to a three-quarter warp, which was going up and down the bobbin instead of building from the bottom. It was a complete change from a build of the bobbin.
How much noise did this machinery make?
Well, it was noisy, but it wasn't unbearable. In other words, after a few weeks under it, you get used to it. In other words, it wasn't something that would drive you up a wall. It was a motor noise mostly. See, every machine has an individual motor, and that many motors running in one department, it will hum pretty loud. But the machinery wasn't all that noisy, and later they put rubbers under the legs so it would quieten it some. And some of the machines has plastic gears on them to quieten it even more. Not all of them, but there's pads under most of these legs to help quieten the noise of the machinery.
Okay, Jamie, there's a shot down here I want to get now of the motors. You can't see them from here.
Wait, start over.
These motors in this department are 10 horsepower motors, 60 cycles, 1,165 RPMs per minute with a 550 volt motor pulling the machine.
How are they powered?
They're powered electrically.
Okay. Okay, let's go to spinning then.
Okay.
Not finished with my shot yet, but that's all right.
Got it. Okay, come on.
This is Woodrow Wright speaking, and when I left the twisting department, well,
Could you go back? We already know who you are, so you just say when you left it.
when I left the twisting department, I entered the spinning room.
Okay, come on.
This is the spinning department of the plant. When I left the twisting department, I came into the spinning room and took a job here as a oiler and taper, which was entirely a different job employment from what I'd been used to. I stayed in the spinning till 1990, April.
Okay, nice.
Nice.
Which one's he going to get out of, slubbers or what?
The
Draw
cards.
frames.
Cards right in this corner.
Well,
We're gonna get one shot right here.
and then hope they're done. Won't get away from you now, they're getting on my nerves. I don't know who Charlie Witchell is, but he sure got me in a mess of trouble. My job here now is being a watchman for the plant, checking for fires and anything that might arise. I come through the plant every hour on the hour, 12 times a night. And that is my job now, is being the night watchman in the plant during the night hours.
What do you think you're gonna happen with this machinery?
I couldn't answer that. I don't know.
It's not important. Okay, thank you. Okay, Jane, you got it.
I'd be afraid to say.
Okay, it's not important.
I wouldn't attempt to say what's going to happen to it.
Yeah. Just get an exposure out of this. Had to look at it for 3 minutes. All right, sir, tell us about the 1934 strike.
Well, as I say, the 1934 strike was more publicity than it was credibility. It was caused by a bunch of jackasses who were running around, didn't have anything to do except talk to themselves. And maybe somebody from TWW, came Textile Workers of the World, come in and said, you boys ought to protest this hard by getting on your motorcycles and riding around, pull some switches in the mill. So they did that. Got a lot of publicity, but no action at all. Not a single person walked out.
Tell us about your mill, just name your mill and tell what happened at your mill.
My mill was called Gray Specialty Yarns at that time. They came into me, I only had a very small operation, which 3 twisters making novelty yarns. I said, what in the hell are you boys doing here? I knew most of them. They said, we're stopping and stretch out system. I said, what the hell are you doing? I got 3 twisters, I got 3 people running them. Well, we'll put any more people. I said, you're lucky to have a job. People don't realize how much it costs to provide a job. How much money is in one job today costs you $100,000 per job to build a viable mill. If you're going to work 30,000 people, it costs you $3 million. Nobody knows, they don't appreciate the fact that it costs a hell of a lot of money to provide jobs.
Describe the stretch out you told us a little while ago.
Well, I think it was mostly the dolphers sitting around all day not having to work, and they got used to that, and then maybe some superintendent decided to put a sweeping, or maybe they gave a spit on an extra set of sides. There wasn't anything radically, nothing wrong really. And as I say, it had no credibility at all. And nobody leading it, nobody following it.
What happened when the flying squadron came to your factory?
I told them to get the hell out of there. And they did.
How did you protect your factory?
Had a gun.
Just a moment.
With a gun.
Could you describe that?
Just a police special, 32 special, police special, Smith & Wesson.
Where were you at that time?
Stand right in the door when they tried to come in. I wouldn't let them in. Said, you're going to scare all, I had ladies running twisted. I said, you're going to scare these girls to death. Get the hell out of here. And they went.
Where did they come from?
Oh, I don't know, maybe Firestone, some of the mills around. More than likely one of the fine yarn mills, Parkdale or Gray Mills or Arlington, Arkway, wherever.
Did you recognize any of them?
Oh yeah, I knew them all.
You knew all the fellows who came to your mill?
Yeah.
Could you could you just say, I recognize him and I could call him by name?
Yes, I recognize him because he called my name, but I don't recall the name at this time.
Whatever happened to those fellows?
They worked their life out. They went right back to work, just like everybody else. Most of them, nobody left their jobs. Only people involved in it were golfers running around that had a motorcycle. They call themselves the Flying Squadron. They got a lot of publicity and accomplished nothing. Silent and furious signifying nothing was it amounted to.
Now, you were a member of an association of employers, I believe, who took some joint action.
No, I was not a member of that. We were not big enough to be in that. We were very small, and we were not a cotton mill. We were making rayon, boucle novelty yarns. We were not big enough to be anything, really. We were trying to make a living. That was all we were trying to do. We'd lost everything we had by that time, and we were trying to make a living. And we were doing it the only way we knew was by making yarns. It's the only thing I know about it anyhow.
Well, now, could you go back a little bit now and describe what happened? You had, as I listened to your tape, you'd had a big mill and then you lost it.
We had 8 big mills. My father did, called Great Sea Park. And we put them into Textiles Incorporated, and Textiles Incorporated went into receivership. We were worth maybe 40 or 50 million bucks. And we went to bed at night in 33. And the next afternoon, about 4 o'clock, we'd like $40,000 being worth a dime. It's pretty big blow. But that's what, it ain't so bad just to be broke, but to be in debt for $40,000 is pretty bad. Ain't no way to make it back.
Now, could you talk about your industry as against the industry in New England?
Well, what happened, the reason, the people in, after my grandfather bought the comb yarn mills down here, the people in the South began to really take an interest in the machinery and modernization of the plants and had real efficient plants. That's why New England closed. And it's just so much cheaper to manufacture here than it was in New England. And New England was involved in a lot of labor unions and so forth and so on. We didn't have it in Gastonia. We had 1 mill in Gastonia that was unionized, and only 1 mill in my lifetime, which is 77 years now.
You didn't have a mill village, did you?
Oh, my father had 8 of them. I didn't have a mill.
Could you say my father had 8 mill villages?
Yeah, 8 villages.
Just start my father.
My father had 8 villages. And he tried to do something to help the people, but they really didn't want to help. He put, at Gray Mills, Gray Manufacturing Company, he put bathrooms in all the village houses. And they had the nurse go by and check them the next 2 or 3 weeks. They went around and found out that in all the bathtubs they had coal. They didn't take no bath. They wanted to protect their bath. They're coal. So the mill gave them the coal, so they put the coal in the bathtub. It's a nice coal bin. So he spent a lot of money for nothing.
What did you do in the mills?
What did I do? Every damn thing you can do. From the picker room through the spinning and winding, I've run everything. I came out of Duke University, and my father started Threads Incorporated. And so Mr. Gottlieb came down and he started Threads Incorporated. He was an expert threadman. So he gave me a job running the glazing room at Threads Incorporated. Now the glazing room is so hot, it never got under 120 in there. Here I am, a college man. I'm making $6 a week. I'm working 65 hours a week. I'm working 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 5 hours on Saturday. I'm paid $6 a week. Then the RA come in, and they wouldn't let us work but 40 hours and made them pay us $12 a week. We had more time and money, and we knew what the hell to do with it. A bottle of liquor, gallon of liquor didn't cost but $1.50. You didn't need no money. You got a liquor and you buy all the groceries you could eat for 3 months for $5 bill.
What did you think of Franklin Roosevelt?
Well, some ways I thought he was great.
Use the word Roosevelt when you saw it.
Some ways Mr. Roosevelt was a great man. Some ways you have to admit that he caused more socialism in this country than any man has ever lived. There's no question about that. But by the same token, if the things he proposed had been followed correctly, the older people in this country wouldn't have anything to worry about. If all the money of Social Security had been put in a separate fund and kept that way, we would be drawing $10,000 a month instead of $1,000 a month. There's no question about that.
Now,
his program would have been a perfect hedge against any depression. It's going to help some in this time, but it ain't going to help all that much. But if they'd done what he proposed to do, keep it separately, it would take care of take it through this period that we're getting ready to go through. A lot of people never have gone through a depression, but I think they don't know how to act. They're going to have to learn how to act because it's sure as hell coming.
Now, I gather that Roosevelt was a friend of the Callaways and the Comers and so forth.
Oh, yes.
Did you ever meet him? And if so, tell us about it.
No, I never met Mr. Roosevelt. I saw him. He came through Gastonia. When his first term, we saw him come through on the train when he died. His casket came through Gastonia. You remember that train we went on?
Now,
No, I never met Mr. Roosevelt.
talk about the women in the mills.
Well, you want to talk about the women in the mills. They were fine. That's the greatest stock in the world, but they were looked down upon, actually, and they would try to export them. But that was fine quality stock, and they didn't really get it done, the exploration. But people tried to export the girls in the mills.
How was that?
They were immediately they were soft touch, which wasn't necessarily true by any stretch of the imagination. Listen, let's be perfectly frank, I was guilty of it myself.
Now, one of the things that I'm wondering about is that with so many women in the mills, there weren't any women overseers or supervisors?
No, oh no.
Could you talk about that?
Well, they just weren't qualified. We didn't think. Probably they were better qualified.
Could you start over and say women?
I said the women weren't qualified today, but after a period of time, they came. We found out they were in the last mill I built, which was New Dawn, was the first opening spinning mill in the world. I had lady fixers and lady overseers because they were qualified. We found out they were qualified and did a good job.
What made for the change?
I don't have any idea. They certainly didn't go to school to learn it. They just picked up the mechanical tricks by being associated with it.
But
running their frames made them associate themselves, and they would fix their own problems.
But it was your attitude that was changed too, and I want to know how that happened.
I never changed my attitude. I always thought they were capable. But I never gave them a chance until 1970.
Why do you think that was true?
I don't have any idea about it.
Let's talk about the colored in the mills the same way.
Well, they were not.
The colored.
I haven't ever found. I only found one good. I had one good qualified overseer colored man. Only one. And I hate to say it, I am becoming a little bigot. At this stage of the game, I haven't seen one that's really qualified to be a overseer of people. I had one that was good, and people liked it, but only one. and I tried several.
What did they do in the 20s and 30s?
They were strictly what we.
All right.
You were at the colored.
Yes,
they-
you want to tell us about that?
Well, actually, we didn't have many people in the mills of black people in the mills. We had some in the warehouse section, some of them running pickers, but actually not many. So they really didn't have a chance to learn. Not that they were not capable of learning, they didn't have a chance to learn.
Why do you think that happened?
Just because we were South and didn't believe in giving colored people the same chance the white people had. That's basically true.
Let me ask you something. I don't want to put words in your mouth, so be careful.
All right.
But some people have said that if you'd put colored in the mills, the white mill workers wouldn't tolerate it.
Could have been true. We just didn't give it a chance to find out whether it was true or not. Could have been true though. The mill workers are the biggest bunch of rednecks you'll ever find.
Was there a Klan in the mills?
No, not really. I never saw any evidence of a Klan. As you talking about a Ku Klux Klan? No, I never saw any evidence of that. They didn't go that far. They just had their own notions about colored people. And they probably wouldn't have tolerated it. I don't know how far we could have gotten with it. We always said that we all been using, we had a deep labor market that we never tapped. The colored people. They were willing to work. We didn't give them a chance. We don't know how they would have done it.
Now,
You see, these white employees generally learn how to run their job by going in as a child and working with their mother or their father or whatever. That's the way they learn how to run the jobs. They weren't paid, but they would come in and learn how to wind with their sister or mother or whatever, or learn how to spin. This was a training program that you had, and you allowed them to bring it. This is back in the 20s. They brought the people in, see, most of these people came from the mountains. They didn't have anything in the mountains up in Appalachia. So they came down here and you give them a house, and give them a job, the whole family job. The papa would be a card hand, the mom would be a spinner, the daughters would be a winder hand, and the boys would be dolphers. And the girls would be winder hands. And they would learn the trade by.
sorry, could you start off with come down from the Appalachians again?
They came down here, we give them a house to live in, we give them jobs, and we give them an opportunity to learn jobs. So that actually they had a pretty good deal. You get 4 or 5 people in one house working and bringing in, well, even if they brought in, say, $10 a week, that's $50 a week. In those days, that was a whole lot of money. So they had really a pretty good job. And they all had jobs, which was something that in the 30s nobody had. If these mills were all built in the 20s, if they had to build them in the 30s, they'd never gotten built. They didn't have any money. They weren't making any money.
Now, one